We got a game tonight between the Miami Dolphins and the Buffalo Bills. We're going to talk about the must-start players from both sides and also the sneaky starts, the guys to fade away from. Really, we're just going to look at both teams and see what we can do with these guys for fantasy football, but it's a great matchup. You're going to be starting a lot of players from both teams, but there are some intricacies, not just for this game, but down the line we got to pay attention to. Jeff Wilson versus Jaylen Wright is going to be a big thing we're going to talk about here in a few minutes. But before we dig into all this, you need to click that subscribe button right now because we're helping you set your lineups throughout the weekend. We're looking at the waiver wire every day. We're doing deep dives on all these players you got questions on, these top players on the waiver wire, these guys climbing the depth chart, these guys getting hurt, anything happening. We're doing a deep dive with the You Need series. That is a deep dive series that we do here on the channel to give you more information on that one player. Click that button, stop missing out. But looking at this game, Vegas has it as a high-scoring, impactful game. Both teams were in weird game scripts last week that slowed things down, and then they had to speed up in the back end of the game. But we might see some firepower this week. We might see the ball go off this week. They might tend more to that over-under of 48, the implied point total by Vegas set there, because Vegas wants to be with their guests there of the over-under close to that. So no one bets one way over it or under it too much to get those lines, so they want to be close as possible. So they're saying this is going to be a fast-paced, high-scoring game. You're going to want to start both quarterbacks. You're probably not going to be in a situation where you're guessing here with them and another quarterback. If you got Josh Allen, you paid up for him. You probably don't have another top quarterback, so you're starting him. Same with Tua. Tua's probably going to give you QB1 production. He has good potential for that, to give you that upside in this game. But we're looking at the Buffalo Bills and what they did last week. They're pretty locked down. They shut down the run. They shut down James Conner to 50 yards on 16 carries. Not a good yards per carry average for James Conner. And they slowed down Marvin Harrison Jr. Or Marvin Harrison Jr. was just slow out there. You tell me about that. Michael Wilson, 1 catch, a touchdown. Greg Dortch got all the targets. So the short game was there with the Buffalo Bills, but it's a one sample matchup. But if DeVon Achane is on the field, you are starting him. He's going to get the workload. He's going to be catching passes out of the backfield. And it's just common sense. You're starting DeVon Achane. And if you're not starting DeVon Achane, it's probably because you're leery on the injury. And that's something we don't have any clues on. But if he's on the field, good to go, they're going to run him out there. And next man up is Jeff Wilson. He had some carries in the back half of last week's game. That was very impactful. 5 carries, 26 yards, 5.2 yards per carry. He should be getting some workload. If Achane's in, he's a risky bet. If Achane's out, he's still a little bit risky, but you're probably going to look to start him in some of your lineups. But you're also looking at Jaylen Wright here, and Jeff Wilson versus Jaylen Wright is a big question you guys have. Jeff Wilson's going to get touches. It's pretty easy to see that. Jaylen Wright might just get a little bit of work. It might be 3 carries by the end of the game. It could be that he gets his 1 carry in the third quarter and this game is out of hand, or they're up a couple scores, or they're up a score and a half or whatever, and they give him a carry and he goes off. He's got 4.3 speed. He's very electric. He fits this offense very good. Or he may not get any opportunities. He may be just a dead horse that is sitting on your roster right now, but the upside's immense. It's through the roof. I do not recommend starting him, but he is a wild card that could do whatever it is. Jaylen Wright should be on a roster, and he should be as a stash play, and you're just watching. You're watching every time he touches the ball. You're watching every time he's on the field. Jeff Wilson should be getting touches. He earned them last week. He was dependable. He did well. He played well when the team needed him. And he's going to get some workload due to that. And if he does well with the workload he gets today, then he will get more workload. That's kind of like how things kind of work. DeVon Achane's the guy. If DeVon Achane's out, Jeff Wilson will be startable but risky. Jaylen Wright, upside bet, might get more carries. Might not. Might not, because they might throw up more. But the upside bet's there. Am I going to say to start him? Probably not. But the upside bet's there if you want to take it. The passing game here for the Dolphins, Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle are the 2 guys you're rolling with. You're starting them. You're starting them every week. They're going to get targets. They're going to get opportunity. And if they go off, this game's going to be fun to watch. And there's really no questions with this. You're not starting the tight ends. You can't trust them yet unless you're just streaming and you're praying for the best out of them. If I would do it, I would probably pick Jonnu there, but it could also go to Durham Smith. But that's if you're in a deeper league. But out of these wide receivers, I'm just going Tyreek Hill and Jaylen Waddle for your traditional leagues. And looking at the Dolphins here, they're actually pretty decent against the run. Last week against the Jaguars, Tank Bigsby had that long run. He had 2 of them that broke loose last week. Travis Etienne was slowed down but was used in the passing game. But there's some volume that could be had in the run game for the Bills. But looking at the wide receivers, this was a weird game last week considering it was a slower paced game. So there was not a lot of volume in the passing game, but they still held things down. Brian Thomas Jr. caught all 4 of his targets, got 47 yards against the Dolphins. Gabe Davis got some deep shots. Christian Kirk was held at bay. But again, the Dolphins and Bills last week on defense, pretty stout in slower matchups. And it was a matchup last week for the Bills where they started off running the ball. They ran it heavy against the Cardinals, who was one of the worst teams last year against the run. 19 carries for James Cook, 71 yards, 3.7 yards per carry. I look for him to get workload. You're starting him because you know he's getting touches. That's probably going to scale back a little bit this week because it's against the Dolphins. They're probably going to have to throw it a little bit more. They're going to have a different approach to this game, but James Cook is your starter. You're watching Ray Davis. You're not starting him unless you're in a weird league. You're watching to see how many touches he gets. Ty Johnson, watch him as well. But the thing about this passing game, last week, first quarter for the Bills, 1 pass attempt. Second quarter, just 4, 5 in the first half. And then they had to ramp things up in the second half. 5 targets for Keon Coleman. 4 of them came in the second half of last week's game. Got a 22% target share. He's a risky bet. He's a coin flip. So whoever you're looking at him in your lineups with, that you're trying to make your decision with against another wide receiver, it's a coin flip literally because he could go off in this game due to the volume or it could be silence. That's how it could look like. Khalil Shakir is a very risky flex option for traditional leagues. However, if you're in a deep league, he is a play that you're probably starting at flex. If you're in a league that's got 16 teams, 18 teams, 20 leagues, you're probably starting him. Traditional 12 teams or smaller, he's a risky flex that you're more than likely not starting in this matchup. You're looking at Dalton Kincaid. He ran a lot of routes last week, 2nd most routes on the team. Remember, this was a slow-paced game. Only 5 pass attempts in the first half, and then they had to push it more downfield. With targets going to Keon Coleman, targets going to Khalil Shakir, letting you know they were pushing it downfield to the wide receivers. Maybe this is a better matchup for him. Dawson Knox, week to week, he's just a flyer for DFS. If you want to get cute with your streaming, maybe. But looking at this passing game, the Bills receivers are risky. James Cook is good in the run game. This is going to be a fun matchup with a lot of upside. Kincaid should run a lot of routes, get some opportunity. Maybe the targets goes away in this one, but this is going to be a fun matchup. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Make sure to hit that subscribe button on the way out. One thing for watching. Catch you on the next video.